G'day guys, Chris here from Vo-Gus Prospecting. If you're new to the channel, a big warm welcome, and if you're an old hat like this one, welcome back to the last episode of 2018. Today we're going to be sluicing crevices. I will explain that in a second. At the time of filming this video, it's only just before Christmas. It's the 22nd, so depending on how I end up editing this video and how long it takes me, I would say a Merry Christmas, or I hope you had a Merry Christmas, and please have a safe and enjoyable New Year's this year. I wanted to also put out a very quick message just to say to everyone that I know that this time of year, this season is full of joy and excitement and adventure and a whole heap of things for many millions of people across the world, but there are some of us who have the exact opposite reaction to Christmas, and it can be an incredibly isolating time and a time that becomes quite dangerous for people struggling with mental illnesses such as depression, anxiety, PTSD, and a whole heap of other ones as well. So if you do know someone that's dropped off the radar a little bit, a friend, a mate, a buddy, a family member who's just not quite acting the same around this time of year, get an extra plate of food out for them, invite them over to Christmas, and you might just make their Christmas something special as opposed to a time that's very lonely and could become quite dangerous. What are we doing on the channel today? Well, it is quite simple. We are going to sluice crevices. I know, a bit of an oxymoron there. It's okay, I will explain. If you're a follower of my social media, and you should be, Facebook and Instagram have a lot more information on what I'm doing besides just these YouTube videos. I will have been explaining that we've had major, like once in 50, 100 year floods here very recently, and all the bedrock that you see behind me here is pretty much brand new. It's either been uncovered by the floods or it's been rejuvenated, like refilled with gold and heavies and gravels and things like that. Now, it's been very hard to learn where the gold is resettled. They were so major and so much damage has been done to these creek systems. It's like working a new creek. So we're slowly learning them, and one of the best ways to do that is to start crevicing. It sort of tells you what kind of heavies are in the area. It tells you what sort of gold got moved and shifted, and so on and so forth. So working crevices is really good, and there's so many of them because everything is brand new. So we're going to fill buckets up with crevice dirt and then just run them through the sluice so we can get as many of them done in a session as possible. Without further ado, we're going to find a spot to set my sluice up and get crevicing. About 3 days ago, I came out here with Steve. He's the bloke in the YouTube tile. Now, Steve, great geologist, awesome guy, really fun to go out and prospect with. And we came to this spot just here. This is a secondary channel. Now, all of this channeling here is man-made. So from back in the 1800s, this channel produced us an okay amount of gold. It was probably the best gold we've found since the floods. In fact, I found a little 0.11 picker, or a $5 nugget, just sitting in the sands down there. Now, that bodes really, really well. There wasn't an amazing amount of gold, but the type of gold that we did find when we did find it was good quality. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to start at this end of the channel, and we're going to work every little bit of sand and gravel all the way along and push it through that sluice. You'll fall down. I've run 3 buckets worth of dirt out of that little gravel mound there, classified, which is about the equivalent to 6 unclassified buckets. And to be honest, I'm not seeing any indicators of gold, which is ironstone, black sands, things like that. And I'm also not seeing an indication of gold, so I haven't seen any pieces of gold go down. which makes me think that there's probably not much point continuing that, and we're going to move straight onto these hard packed crevices. I wanted to explain something about this channel and why I'm working it, other than the fact that I did find a little nugget down here. If you look down the length of this channel, you'll notice that there really isn't that much rock. It's all contained in these little dips and divots. And this is a good sign that the water receded from here quite rapidly. If it had been moving gravel and doing it gradually, or a gradual reduction in water, we would see a lot more stone in this ditch. But we're not seeing that. We're seeing only scattered stone, which means it was moved in here quite violently and then the water dropped away very quickly, which means it's good for us because we're working pockets of gravel that are heavy. We're working pockets of gravel that were heavy enough to stick around while that water was being so violent, and that means that those rocks are heavy, and heavy things like to hold on to gold, so that's why it's good for us. All right, we've got a lot of work to do. Let's get scratching out these cracks. Many little tiny crevices later, I have got some dirt. So these are all the big rocks, and that's all the dirt I've collected. Now, not much, but we've finally hit a really big patch of gravel sitting quite low with some large rocks in there. Now that is a good potential spot. We just finished scratching out some high crevices. We finished scratching out some low ones. Obviously I've left some of the big rocks and whatnot in place. Ooh, I just found another one there. I have to get that, but we're getting closer. We're getting close to our first bucket of crevice dirt. We found a good bit. There was nothing. I was looking for everything, getting lots of indicators, but no indication of gold. Hadn't seen a single bit yet. And there's a nice little picker sitting on my mat. Have a look at this beautiful specimen of gold. That's the first bucket of crevice dirt work, and we found that little picker, and I can see about half a dozen other nice little bits of gold sitting at the top of the mat. Plenty of ironstone as well, so we're definitely on the right path. That big depression of gravel, I'm betting, is where it came from. It's hard to know because I did work so many little crevices. I've got a little bit more dirt to scratch out of that one before we keep going down this channel, so let's get scratching. As I said earlier, I was out here with Steve a couple of days ago when I found my little guitar pick Nugget, and he pointed out something very, very cool. I get asked quite regularly on my channel about quartz veins. A lot of people say, oh, there's a quartz vein above you, you should check it for gold, and so on and so forth. And a lot of the time, there isn't enough information about hard rock mining for the amateur prospector to know why most of them aren't worth working. But I'm going to show you one that would be worth possibly sampling. Steve was walking along this channel and he spotted this quartz vein right here. Now this quartz vein will be worth checking. We've got tons of mineralization in it, and what this means is basically that the quartz, when it was in a liquid form traveling, it slowed down long enough for all the stuff in it, gold, iron, pyrite, all that sort of stuff, to fall out of solution or fall out of suspension, and it stopped right there. That's where you'd find gold. That one would be worth checking. If you find those buck white quartz, at least in my area, it's probably not worth it. You got to have that mineralization with it. Cool little tidbit of information that is well worth knowing. Read up on the quartz veins and the mineralization and what a lode vein actually looks like, because it will help you in your search in the long run. If you haven't already, check out my vlog channel. On my vlog channel, I've actually got some metal detecting videos and a little bit of gold prospecting stuff as well. But the vlog covers a whole range of different things. I've got a new series called Coffee on Mountains, where I'm taking Grizzly on hikes up to the top of mountains and cool and interesting places and drinking some nice coffee. Pretty cool little thing. You get to see lots of scenery, lots of drone shots, lots of Grizzly, and generally it's a bit of fun. So if you haven't already, links in the description. It's called Challenge Chris, and I hope you'll join me over there. So I just ran my 4th bucket and we got a little bit more gold just sitting in the mat. Nothing spectacular at this stage other than that picker. It's looking pretty flat. So I think when the water was moving through here, it would have been absolutely hoofing it because of how narrow this channel actually is, and the water was way up there. So you can see flood debris on the other side there. It's taller than where I'm standing. So we know that the water was stupidly high, and only the heaviest of the heavies are probably going to drop out in this channel, which is why I've found now the guitar pick Nugget and that little picker that's in my sluice mat. And it just basically means that there may not be as much gold as there would be if it was in a slower moving channel, because I'm forgoing all those fine bits of gold. We're doing a bit of recall training with Grizzly because he's never been terribly great at coming. Like, he always hangs around and stuff, but he doesn't do come so well. So, delicious treat, and we'll see if it works. We've been doing this last few sessions, seems to be working. Grizz, come! Good boy, good boy. Yeah, that works. 6 buckets done. Now we're going to do the clean out. So we're going to get all this dirt into my pan like this, except there's still way too much dirt in there, so we'll get rid of that. And we've got lead, lots of lead, and a little bit of gold. So we've got a little bit of flood gold and one really nice picker. That's about the size of a shotgun pellet. That is, and it's nice and 3D too, which is awesome. So we've got that bit of gold. There's a shotgun pellet for a bit of size comparison, and a little bit of fine stuff, not much. which is exactly what I was saying before. The water is moving so fast through that trench that it's likely that the only thing that was going to get caught there are bigger bits, and that's why I found two nice pickers in there, this one and that guitar-shaped pick picker. Yeah. Those bits of gold hide in these high flow, high pressure situations. So contrary to popular belief, even though you'll find probably a larger deposit of gold in an inside bend or a low pressure section, if you look for places where there's a lot of water flow, a lot of rapid water and fast moving high velocity stuff going on, and you see a little deposit of gravel, well, that gravel usually has to be dense for it to settle out there, and dense things like gold will be collected along with it. That's where you got to find your pickers and nuggets. So don't skip over them, they are worth checking. Well, we have officially finished that trench. There are some little teeny weeny crevices and whatnot that could hold some nuggets and pickers and will be well worth going over and checking, but for today I am done. I think it has been an absolute pleasure coming out here and finding that beauty. I'm almost out of battery, that is why I'm ending the video. I wanted to say a massive thank you to a whole heap of people that have helped Vo-Gus prospecting come into its own. Jonathan from Croc Gold, mate, absolute champion. Thank you for supporting my channel in the way that you did while Croc Gold was up and running. I wanted to thank Michael from Gold Luck Victoria. I wanted to thank Michael, who comes out with me, the Golden Butler. I wanted to thank Steve, the geologist, who comes out. Grizzly, of course, I've got to thank Grizzly for keeping me company and keeping my head sane while I'm out on the creek. Wanted to thank Blue and Red Dog Prospecting, both helped my channel out in various ways. So thank you to you guys. Pioneer Paulie, I've enjoyed our chats all year. Thank you so much for being part of my life. I appreciate it. I've had some of the wickedest conversations with you. I absolutely look forward to them every time you give me a call. Big thank you to Mick, this year's apprentice, for coming out and enjoying the creek and whatnot with me. It has been awesome to get to know you and your family. I want to thank Josh, and I've shared a massive friendship with you going to the Golden Triangle and getting to know your family as well. So thank you very much. I'm so glad that you got in contact with me. You know, we've had some awesome events. Clint Washburn from Gold Claw, you've sponsored so many of my competitions. I want to say a massive thank you to you. You've helped my channel grow. And not only that, you've got such an ingenuitive product. I'm so thoroughly impressed with how well those pans work. Wayne for hooking me up with sweet crevice tools, doing a lot of CNC machine work. Your tools, I've been using them ever since you shipped them to me, and I will not be without them ever again. I will keep resharpening my scrapers every single time I go out just so I can use them. They are that good. I know there's a lot more people that have been involved with the channel, and you guys know who you are. I wanted to say thank you to everyone. I know I've probably forgotten a lot of people's names, and I do apologize. I sincerely apologize. But thank you so much for being part of Vo-Gus prospecting. Next year, we've got just the same sort of stuff going on. Check out the links in the description. I can't emphasize that enough. There's a lot more to Vo-Gus prospecting than just these videos. It all happens on Facebook, it happens on Instagram, as well as YouTube, and even in real life you might bump into me out on the creek. Have a safe Merry Christmas, a Happy New Year. Remember to look after your loved ones. Peace, and we are out for 2018.